So we have a lot of follow-up information to continue on from the last couple of updates. So hey everyone, how's it going today? And hopefully everyone's doing great and well. The big thing is that in today's update, I want to kind of follow up with the last couple of updates. Now you can really watch them in either orders. If anything, I think today's update will be an even more updated version of that, because maybe the great news to really start to share is that, as most of you guys know, the story of what happened to the fourth stimulus package is that they were working on it, but then they realized that because of the government funding situation, because we're about to hit the deadline very soon, they ended up deciding to prioritize to get that done first, and then they can move on to talking about the fourth stimulus package. And even more specifically, again, is all of the stimulus social programs. So specifically programs that are meant to put money inside of our pockets, not programs about like sending money away or that kind of stuff, but things that I genuinely think are going to hopefully be helpful, especially during a time when there are still a lot of people that hopefully need it. But the great news, maybe to start, is that the House has now officially approved of the government spending bill to now keep the government running. So hopefully now we have more time to be able to work on everything. Now, with that being said, it is now of course going to the Senate, but we are going to be talking all about what's been going on in that world. I have some information. I kind of want to talk a little bit about just the news in general, but it is very related to stimulus, and it's definitely going to make a lot of sense at the very end. So today's update is going to be a blend of stimulus and then some news updates, so hopefully something freshing to kind of see. So we're gonna get right to it, but as always, real fast before we begin, consider smashing the like button. It is always greatly appreciated. Of course, you guys can decide. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell as we get more information. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts, or maybe opinions about the current situation, or honestly just really anything at all. Always great to say hi to new and familiar faces. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So as just mentioned is that the spending bill, in order to do more stimulus programs, or specifically to keep the government running so that they can work on more stimulus plans, has thankfully now officially approved inside of the House at a vote of 272 to 162 votes. So what this does is that the background story is that now they're able to keep the government funded from February 18th all the way until March 11th, basically buying them about 3 more weeks. Now keep in mind is that it still has to go through the Senate, but I believe at this time, because every single person from all parties are trying to get the government funding, because it impacts literally every single person, it is expected to approve inside of the Senate. Of course, you will have to definitely confirm that later, but that's what it's projected to be. I do know is that the big significance about this is because if they were not able to approve this bill, it basically means that they would potentially have to go into a government shutdown. And the significance of this is basically all of the programs, not just new programs, but everything that even currently exists, from programs like Social Security, current unemployment, things like government jobs, everything that ties with our country is going to potentially be impacted. So that's really the big significance about why this really is particularly important, I think, to every single person here, but is not always seen that way, and hopefully is now seen that way through this. Now, I do know that going from here, though, if you're watching this on release date, is that after what has happened, the House is now planning to go on vacation for about a week. Specifically, it's going to be for President's Day. But again, of course, if you've been following all along, huge thanks. We all know is that when there is a major holiday, most companies probably will give their employees a day off. But if you are in Congress, you get a whole week off. Technically, there are a lot of politicians that will still be around, but they're just not going to be in Congress specifically. They're going to be back at home working on just more state and local programs in order to help their particular region. So not Congress, but they're still technically going to be working depending on what they specifically want to do. So hopefully this kind of highlights what's going on in that situation. Now, I guess maybe real fast to also share is that there's also another second bill that was approved inside of the House. This is really just about the post office. I know there were some people that were wondering about that, so I figured I'd just, take 15 seconds to just share it. But there's a bill that was supposed to help to keep the post office running, funded, and to support them, and it was approved at a vote of about 342 in support to about 92 that were against it. And I think this is expected because regardless of your political party, every single person hopefully has sent a letter, a package, or mail at some point, especially, way back before the email generation and everything related. But certainly, I think, it's fair to say it's an important service to our country. Now, to maybe talk about just general news information, and it's definitely going to make sense why this is important to stimulus at the end. But the first thing I really want to talk about that's actually been relatively breaking news, especially if you are someone that just follows economics, the stock market, is that, as some of you guys know, is that the inflation report recently just came out. And the big, I guess, relatively important news is that they ended up finding out that the inflation situation rose by about 7.5%. So what the significance of this is that it means that now every single time you just do things outside, it's going to cost 7.5% more than just what it usually would cost. I believe is that for the last time we got the report, it was 6.9% of inflation. So now we're reaching about 7.5, and that is a lot. And the big importance to this is because I believe that while things are starting to cost more, inflation, or specifically wages, only went up by about 0.1%. So this is really like a historical record, and I think the last time they saw something in this range was pretty much about 1982. So that's actually a very, very big thing. I think that's very, very important. Why this is actually significant to stimulus is that it means that if we do get, regardless of whether now hopefully we do get stimulus programs, even if it's not in checks, but, through like child tax credit, Social Security, special unemployment programs, everything related to that. But what this really means is that essentially, regardless of whether we get stimulus programs and checks or not, it means that everything is going to start to cost a lot more. And you may have even already experienced it. Maybe feel free to comment if you guys have. But the big thing is that it means that whatever money that we either receive, hopefully from the government as relief, or that even people that actually did go back to a job or are working part-time right now, like a lot of people, it means that when they collect their paycheck, the value of their paycheck isn't going to go as far. And that's the really big thing. And I can only comment as being in New York, we are already starting to see it. Feel free to comment about your state. But I know is that, for example, when I go out for lunch, there were many, many places that used to cost, I don't know, like $10 for like a Chinese lunch special. But now it's closer to $15. And after tips and taxes, we're talking about $20 for a lunch sometimes. And this is a very realistic number. So this is a very realistic thing that's going on. So if everything starts to go up more, like rent, bills, food, necessities, so this isn't just like fun things that we can enjoy, but they're actually very important stuff, then it means that we really, our money that we currently have really only goes so far now going from here. So why this is important to stimulus is because a lot of the stimulus programs actually are really meant to just impact, or just they simply put is that they impact things related to inflation. If people have more money, it does mean that the prices will go up, but it also means that people are able to get support. So Joe Manchin right now, as most people know, who is, just against a lot of the stimulus programs, one of the biggest reasons is exactly because of inflation. So why this is important is because if we start to see inflation really rise up rampantly, it's going to lead to a lot of, just simply put, uncertainty with whether or not we can see more stimulus programs, and especially with a lot of people that are now trying to really control our prices. But it really goes both ways. And I think this is maybe something very important to share that not a lot of other people are talking about, that is, while it's, more news related, it's very, very connected and important to not just stimulus, but just our own livelihoods in general. But really beyond this is that that's pretty much most of what I really just wanted to share in today's update. The only further information really is just the fact that right now President Biden is going to be on the road to try to promote his new Build Back Better plan, and I believe he's headed to Virginia right now, so he's going to try to promote it there, see what ends up happening, and then really try to take it from there. It is very expected, as most people know, we will see a lot of modifications. There is already a version of the bill, but we just don't have the full complete details, so that's what we're really waiting for them to actually physically release it. But hopefully, if you guys found that relatively insightful, consider smashing the like button. If you guys haven't done so, consider subscribing as we get more information. And as always, feel free to comment any questions or thoughts about honestly just really anything. So if you guys made it through, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe. If you're watching on release, have a great, awesome, blessed, fun weekend, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.